to get started. Now we have a lot of panelists. It seems like our panels are getting bigger and bigger. So that's a good thing. It's a blessing, definitely. Before we start, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming out. You guys don't know that the music industry is 24 hours a day. So I really, really, really thank all of you for taking the time out of your schedules to come and give back to the music community. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to start off. We're going to try to keep our answers short because we're going to end this time. I promised Judd, the store manager, that at 8:30 we'll be ending so you guys can network and talk and get your free stuff that we have for you. And we have a selection coming from Jermaine's. He's been coming to the panels. He's the Apollo Live winner, and he's out here grinding. That's why he's here. So this is why we do these panels. So we're going to start right off. We're going to come right to you, Justine. And this question is going to be for everyone. You can just kind of pass the mic down. Cuban from Water Music has been good enough to put these questions down for us and kept it really short. The first question we have is, this is a good one too. Because we are all here to learn and build ourselves in the music business, an important question is, who are the people and artists that you study? On an executive level or an artist, writer, whatever your expertise is, who are the people that you study?
I would say my biggest influence so far growing up and everything has definitely been Mariah Carey, personally, for me. In terms of who, at Jumbas, what we do is, for a while we had everybody working there just send emails to everybody else about what new song came out, which they liked. They wanted us to check it out, so everybody would go and see it and view it and have to give feedback on what they thought. So that actually exposes everyone to a lot of really good music that they might have not seen before. So that might be something you want to do with your friends.
Yes, definitely. Well, who is that you've studied and come up in?
It's a great question. It really depends on which hat I'm wearing.
Right.
Right? If we're talking about work as a producer, you know, you're going to study the producers that inspire you. You know, the Neptunes, Timbaland, Nat Adderley, who is the music director for Luther Vandross, right? So what got me into music was listening to the beginning piano part of Superstar. That, for me, made me want to play the keys. So I found out who Nat Adderley was, and I listened to their music. I study. If you're a drummer, you want to make sure that, you know, you're listening to Rush's Neil Peart, or you're listening to, you know, drummers that really, you know, that really reach out to you, or whatever your instrument or your passion is. You know, as an engineer, you know, I'm listening to, you know, Dave Pensado, or the Chris Lord Alge and his brother. So it really depends on for what reason you're studying. You know, right now I really like a lot of what and I'm missing his name. He did all of So Def stuff, and now he's doing like all of Rick Ross's mixes. Asian guy, I can't remember his name right now, but you know, it really has to do with what you are, what the subject matter of your interest is, and you should most certainly study the folks that inspire that, and learn every nuance. Is it Phil Tan? Phil Tan. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Well, that's pretty much the same situation for me. It depends on the hat that I'm wearing. When it comes to singers, I love soul singers, so I listen to people like Lettucey and India Irie and Jill Scott. That's really what moves my soul. But when it comes to the songwriting hat, and I have, you know, a little bit more edgy people to write for and stuff like that, I check out The Dream. I check out Sean Garrett and people like that. Engineering now, I can't say that I study one particular engineer. All I know is that I wanted to be an engineer because I wanted to make the music sound a certain way. So that was my main focus for even being an engineer. Being a publisher, on the other hand, that's where the money come in, honey, and the songwriters and all that. So I needed to study that to know how I was making my money, exactly where it was coming from, and how I was gonna get my hands on it. That's pretty much it.
Fair. Completely fair.
Well, I can say my first experience, I remember when I was like, I think it was 6 or 7, I heard my father had a 45, James Brown Soul Power. I remember that. Now, you know, the thing is, today you keep hearing, well, you got to have the young music. It's all about the young kids. It's young. When James Brown did that, he was probably older. You know, it's not always young. It's the music, what you put out. Because I remember that when I was 6 years old. From there, I fell in love. And I listened to a lot of Jam and Lewis. I listened to like a lot of stuff that Gamble and Huff did. These are songs that are like R&B music that's cornerstones in the business. I mean, you can't go one day and turn on the radio and not hear one of their records. Now, like, you know, for, you know, these artists need to aspire to do that instead of like, well, I want to do what's hot right now, but you know, sometimes you do what's hot right now, you know, it just lasts for like 2 minutes. You talking about guys that got records, like when you go to barbecues, you hear the same records over and over and over again, right? That's the music business. How long your stuff lasts, how long people play it, how long it's in your life, not just like what could be hot for the moment right now. Now, that's when the publishing really comes in right there. Now, I try to aspire to do that. I've been lucky to do a couple of records that's lasted. Like when they did the Notorious movie for Biggie, I did the song Notorious. You know, it came out all over again. So it was a good thing that I really paid attention, because when I did the record first, Puff had actually, because I did the record first and I added Biggie's vocals to it. So Puff, he kind of added too much stuff to the record and he threw the vibe off the record. So I said, Puff, man, I called him, and like he was in Switzerland. I called him, yo, we can't put this record out like that. And I'm glad that he listened to me, because today it's still rocking. And you know, it's just all about trying to put out the best product, and you know, just having a lot of what's that word? A lot of pride in what you do. Like these days, everything's money driven, and the records last for 2 seconds. Just like just like a cheeseburger from McDonald's, a dollar burger. You know, that's how they doing the music. Serious, that's how they doing the music. So that's what it is. So when I believe when people aspire to be great, people's going to gravitate to it.
Now, I'm interested to hear who Pete studied, because people have studied you, Pete, so I want to hear you study.
Musically, you classic rock and jazz stuff. Coltrane, Miles Davis. When I studied, when I went to school, I was studying jazz. So that was huge. Growing up, my dad would play records, so listening to big band stuff was big. But in high school, I was a rock player, so I would be in a punk band at the same time studying jazz. So I listen to. I want to listen to everything that makes me think about music and want to do it. Engineering-wise, you mentioned the Algae Brothers. That certainly was a good study. I worked in 2 of the studios that I worked at. But I feel like when I go to my place, whether it's in TV Land or at my studio, there's something to pick up from anybody that comes in there, whether it's somebody that's well known or not. If you can leave at the end of the day and have learned something from what just happened there, I guess what I'm saying is I'll try and pick up something from everybody. I mean, the producer, engineer, whatever. Usually there's something to learn. Even if this guy is way younger than you and seems way less experienced, or obviously people who are well known and are very experienced, generally there's something to pick up, and not always, but so, if you have learned something from the day yourself, then you accomplish something there too.
For
Me, I'm constantly studying, but I'm from Queens, so I started out, I read every Russell Simmons book. Russell Simmons was actually the first music executive I ever sat down with. I studied Andre Harrell, studied Puff Daddy, and right now, I love what Steve Stout is doing. He's fusing corporate America with musicians and creating huge brands from artists, producers, songwriters, but all of them are brands. So he's fusing them with corporate America, and I love what he's doing. So right now I'm really studying Steve Stout, and I can't forget Chris Lighty. I studied Chris Lighty. I loved what he did when he built Violator. I always wanted to build a Violator growing up. So those are just some of the people that I study and I continue to study.
Right now, I have to say, at this time, Troy Carter, just Lady Gaga's manager. He's very involved in tech. He has a company called Atomic Factory, which is involved in tech, licensing, music supervision, production, and that's the guy that I'm pretty much looking up to right now. Yeah.
You took my list. Those are the guys I would add. Kevin Lyles, Barry Gordy. But going back to like Prestige said, what got me to fall in love with music was Michael Jackson. But I figured out I couldn't do what he was doing. So, but I was always a guy that would buy cassettes, CDs or whatever, and open the packet and actually read who did what, who was behind the scenes. So that's why the guys that you name, I look up to those guys.
I have to say my biggest inspiration would probably be Barry Gordy. I love what he did with Motown. I love the hits that came out of there. I love the artist development that came out of there. I love that his acts were polished. You know, he didn't have nobody with pants hanging off their butt. And, you know, they took it and they made black music what it was for that era. You know, so it was like they're part of the fabric of our culture for what they did. So that's who I look up to. And Stevie Wonder as far as singing.